get it ready in case I ask you for extra readings.
Hello, everyone. Forgive me, yeah, I'm here with Usama Duck. As you know, he's a part-time superhero. He's the terror that flaps in the night. And yeah, today we are talking about his favorite book. He's yeah, the Quran. And we're going to be doing another chapter, I believe, on Joseph. It is Usama.
Yeah, but I don't know where you come up with the idea. My favorite book, my favorite story in the Quran, but not my favorite book.
But you wrote a whole Quran. How can it not be
Well,
popular if you wrote a whole book?
I know, but there is one. First of all, hello and greetings to you and all our wonderful
Yes.
audience. And I hope and I pray everybody is having great time. Before we get to disagreement, me and my brother Lloyd here. So anyway,
Yeah, well,
so
hello everyone and welcome. We have Raf Mad Monk. Oh, I need to write to you and I've got a couple of emails to send. Let me do that. Remind me to do so later. Hello, Just Janice, and thank you. It says £5 from Just Janice, 5 British rupees, and it says a choice of topic anything but Luther. That's yeah, yeah, that's a depressing one. So yeah, we'll give it a miss. We're gonna talk about Joseph, and thanks all for being here. Hello everyone. And Usama, why should we be excited to learn about Joseph from the Islamic perspective? What's the benefit
that is very simple. It is the best of the Quran. Not because Usama said so, but because Allah Himself, Allah, the God of Muhammad, Allah Almighty, declared to us, as we're going to read in verse 3, that that is the best of the Quran. And if we can destroy the best of the Quran, we don't have to waste time to talk about the least important, the least favored by Allah, the least stories of Allah in the Quran. It makes no sense to me. And I tell you why. I agree with Allah that that is the best of the Quran because it is the one story which have more details than any other stories in the Quran. That's number one. Number two, you do not have to search all over the Quran except one other verse in Quran chapter 6, which we're going to read in a minute here, where you read about Joseph, but the rest of the story of Joseph, it's in that one chapter. Even though it have more details than the rest of the chapters of the Quran or the stories of the Quran, it is still very, very weak. Weak because even though it have more details than other stories, but it have hardly any details when it compared with the Joseph of Genesis, the Joseph of the Bible.
aren't you
So
just being
that is,
Islamophobic and it's actually got the right amount of information?
I'm sorry, what?
Aren't you maybe just being Islamophobic and it contains the right amount of information and maybe you haven't read it in the original Arabic? So how would you know?
Listen. If I am Islamophobic guy, there is no Islamophobia. I'm the most friendly, loving, peaceful guy towards the Muslim people. And I love them so much that I'm willing to do anything I can to get them out of the cult of Islam. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that sounds very friendly. And yeah, no, that definitely.
Ah, God help me.
I think all Muslims should be open to receiving the blessing of bacon, and I think they should. Bacon vaccinations are a fantastic way to prevent people from blowing up at concerts. I think it's great. Was that Islamophobic?
Absolutely.
Let me move my camera
Sound
for
like
a second.
Islamophobic to me. Yeah,
Sorry.
you're trying to make me paint me with a brush of Islamophobia while you are painted by a big roll. You know what the roller? This big round, like this round, and
Paint
it's
roller. So you're
like
saying
I
I'm
don't know,
making broad
12, 14.
strokes here?
Yeah, it go a lot faster than a brush. You are that roller.
Um,
All
yeah,
right.
no, no. It's just this is the moment before I come alive and I start operating with precision. You know, all the precision of a nice,
Good.
you know,
Okay, so obviously the first verse I want you to read for us is what is written in Quran chapter 6, Al-An'am, the livestock. the livestock. And in verse 84, if you don't mind, 684, that is the only time we're going to get out of chapter 12, but then the rest we're going to stay in chapter 12.
Now, the closer we get to the end and skip as much as possible, the better. I've been reading a while now, and it's,
I'm not,
you know.
brother,
So,
listen,
so
I'm
welcome
not going to
everyone.
skip anything.
Okay,
If you have to take a Tylenol or some Advil or something for headache, you're welcome to do so. Or you can drink coffee, but we're not going to skip any verse
yeah.
in that chapter.
Okay,
It's
so
my favorite.
everyone,
Remember?
I'm gonna read to you. Just, I would say, be grateful I don't have a stutter. So let us continue. Muhammad confused names and their relationship to one another. And we granted him Isaac and Jacob, both we guided, and Noah we guided before and among his descendants, David and Solomon and Job and Joseph and Moses and Aaron, and a partridge in a pear tree. And likewise we reward the doers of good. And
All right.
Zacharias,
So yeah, we don't have to read the rest of the name. It's a nice cocktail of salad, man. Allah does not know who got who and who begot who and who came before who and who came after who. Allah does not know. I know for a fact. Allah does not know. But I know. I know better than Allah in that one here. So Joseph came after Job and before Moses. Okay. So David, Solomon, Job, Joseph, and beside that name Joseph, we know nothing about Joseph in that chapter or in the rest of the Quran except when we go to chapter 12. You got the idea? So that is the only second location in the Quran where Allah mentioned Joseph. And when we go to chapter 12, we get everything you can know. You can know, not you need to know. If you need to know everything about Joseph, you have to go to Genesis account, as we're going to be doing a lot in that chapter. But all what you need to know, or all that you can figure out about Joseph, come from Quran chapter 12, which is obviously named Joseph. You got the idea, boss, cameraman?
um, I hope so. I hope so. And I'm just, Janice has a point there. She says the Quran is better on fast forward.
Yeah, but then we miss the whole point of why we even critique in the Quran. If you're gonna fast forward, you're not gonna critique it because there's nothing in it really.
I think
Fast
it's a
forward,
mental health consideration, Usama.
exactly. I concur. I concur. But it's a struggle we have to go through for the love of the Muslim, for heaven's sake. For heaven's sake.
Right. The struggle continues. All right.
Yeah,
So where
yeah.
do we go next?
Go to our book exposes the truth about the Quran, the revelation of error. And once again, let us prove that even the best of the Quran is a revelation of error. But at the same time, you're gonna open your Quran to chapter 12 because once in a while I'm gonna ask you to read some verses I skipped in my writing in my book because I like to use the Quran to prove my point for it. So chapter 12 is Joseph, and that is the Quran story. And the same time, you need to open my book on in the chapter of Joseph. That's it. You got it. You got it, man.
Right. So right, guys. So sit down, strap in, um,
Yeah.
find a beverage of your choice. If you turn to strong drink, I accept full responsibility for that. And you know, I'm okay. So chapter 9, the story of Joseph. When we want to find what is written in Ibn Kathir's interpretation about the life of Joseph, we must go to his book on Jacob and Israel titled The Mention of What Happened of Wonderful Things in the Life of Israel, the Life of Joseph. Israel didn't exist. It was a Palestinian state. So what is this guy writing? The Palestinian Muslims were there, and there were no Jews there ever. What is this?
Well, that is before the Muslim decided to use this as an excuse to continue to perform jihad against the Jews.
Okay. So we see that this is not about Jacob, but it's rather about the life of Jacob as if it took place in the life of Joseph. Oh, right. They've done this. You know what? They confuse Paul, Saint Paul, with. I did a paper on presentation on Saint Paul, and they confuse him with Paul of Samosata, a heretic from the 3rd century. And it's crazy
Yeah.
how there are times they accuse Paul of something this guy did 250 years later, and there are times they accuse this guy, of doing something that St. Paul did. And you're like, these guys are like 200 and something years apart. How can they accuse each other?
Yeah.
These people are There's a word for it. It starts with an
Hey,
R and
it's
ends
like
with a
it's
D.
like it's like some Muslim guy make fun of the Bible when it says, and they cover the ark with gold inside and outside, and he said that is impossible. How can you cover the ark with gold when it's huge? I mean, you talk about 3 story high, all the creatures and animals inside, and it doesn't make it is stupid to think that the Bible is true because you could not cover the ark with gold. I mean, there's not enough gold to cover the ark of the but what he did not realize that there are 2 ark in the Bible. The Ark of the Covenant, that's a small box you can cover with gold, and Noah's Ark, that's a little bit larger box. It's a big box, and you do not need to cover it with gold because actually Noah covered it with tar, black, cheap stuff to stop it from leaking water. Anyway, this is a similar
Right.
idea. Paul is Paul. It makes no difference if it's the Paul who we know from the New Testament or another Paul come 500-600 years later. It's still Paul. He must be
Yeah,
Paul.
they accuse Paul of starting Nestorianism. They accuse Paul of starting another sect, which started in the 400s, the 500s, the 600s. You're like, how did he do
Really?
that?
It's Paul.
No,
It's
the
still the
Islamic
same name.
scholars, it's ridiculous how, I don't know. Okay. It seems very
Yes, sir.
strange that the life of
Yes,
the
sir.
father can only be known through the life of his son, unless, of course, you know little or nothing about the father. This apparently resulted from Muhammad's ignorance about Jacob and many other biblical characters, including Jacob's brother Esau and their father Isaac. I sometimes wonder if Esau was like where they get the name Esau, but you never know. How much
Yeah.
do we know about the
Well,
life?
there is Esau.
Hmm?
Yeah. Esau does not exist in the Quran. Obviously, Isaac exists in the Quran with hardly any information, and so is Jacob. You know nothing about Jacob. So he's talking about Jacob, but at the same time, he's telling us about Israel. That does not make any sense. Does not make any sense.
Radio. So, how much do we know about the life of Jacob through the writings in the generous Quran, the Hadiths, Muhammad's sayings, and all the Muslim scholars' interpretations? If we search for the name Jacob or Yaqub throughout the Quran, we discover it is only mentioned in the Quran 14 times in 14 verses without detail. The family of Jacob is mentioned twice, but without any detail. The term children of Israel is mentioned 41 times in the Quran, as Muhammad included the Jewish nation that descended from Israel, but he never mentions Palestine. Forgetful Allah. The name Israel is mentioned in
Yeah.
the Quran twice. Ibn Kathir did not have any information from the Quran to write about Jacob, so he moved on to the story of Joseph to cover the story of Jacob. Some of the information about Jacob that he did mention was taken from the Bible, of course.
Yeah.
So therefore, yeah. So therefore, we must ask this question: what does the Quran state about Jacob and his life? From reading the Quran and studying the Hadith, we know almost nothing. Can we find the answers to the following simple questions of who, how, where, when, what, and why throughout the history of Jacob? For example, who changed Jacob's name? How, where, when, and why was it changed from Jacob to Israel? And what do the names Jacob and Israel mean? We know that the Quran uses the name Israel for Jacob twice. Obviously, there are no answers for this in the Quran. Why am I not surprised? The answers are found in Genesis 32, verses 22 to 32, about how Jacob took 2 wives, his 2 female servants, his 11 sons, and all his possessions across a brook called Jabbok. Then Jacob was alone and wrestled with a man until morning was breaking. When the man saw that he could not prevail, he touched Jacob's hip socket, which caused his hip to become out of joint. As they wrestled, the man and Jacob had this conversation. And he said, "Let me go, for the day breaks." But he said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." So he said to him, "What is your name?" He said, "Jacob." And he said, "Your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have struggled with God and with men, and have prevailed." Then Jacob asked, saying, "Tell me your name, I pray." And he said, "Why is it that you ask about my name?" Then the man blessed him, and therefore Jacob placed the name Peniel, meaning the face of God, because as he stated in verse 30, "For I've seen God face to face, and my life is preserved." The sun rose just as Jacob
Obviously,
crossed
we
the.
know,
Yeah.
Brother Lloyd, if you don't mind for a second, we know that the God which Jacob wrestled with, it is not God the Father, it's not God the Holy Spirit, it is God Jesus Christ. It's the same God who met with Abraham, Genesis 18, who talked with Abraham, and Abraham called him Lord, Yahweh, capital Lord. It's the same God who spoke with Moses in the burning bush. So we know because obviously when Moses asked to see God, he was talking to God the Father. He said, "No one can see me and live." Why? Because we have sin in us, and God is so holy. In the presence of God, everything is unholy will burn. So we know for sure that the wrestling man who wrestled with Jacob all night long until morning is the Lord Jesus Christ, obviously, before he came in the flesh. How can this be? How can Jesus be born 2,000 years ago? And now you tell me 3,400 years before that he wrestled with Jacob. Listen. Jesus is the Word of God. He have no limitation with time. Time is like you and I, where, as Brother Randy said the other day, we are like fish in a tank of water. God is outside the fish of the tank, the fish, the tank of the fish. So obviously, time does mean nothing to God, and place means nothing to God. God is everywhere, all the time, past, present, future. There is no time. So Jesus became flesh in our time, in our clock, but not in God's time, in God's clock. He's always there and forever will be. Amen.
Amen. Yep. So the sun rose as Jacob crossed over Peniel. He limped because of his hip, and that is the reason why the children of Israel do not eat the muscle portion of the shank. When uneducated Muslims read these verses, they make fun of the Bible, especially when they hear the interpretation from Christian scholars that the man, the angel of the Lord, was actually Jesus Christ when he appeared to Jacob. The truth is that this is exactly what took place in Jacob's life, where he wrestled with God, as it is written above. That is how he was blessed by God, and his name was changed from Jacob, meaning the supplanter, to Israel, which means he will rule as God. Now, did Jacob have any brothers or sisters? If so, what were their occupations? Where did they live? Was Jacob married? What were the names of his wives? How many children did he have, and how old was he when he died? We could ask many other questions. The short and only answer from Muslim scholars is Allah knows best, for they do not know what the
Man,
answers
you
are.
know the answer. You're so sharp, man.
I mean, look, there's only two correct answers in Islam. You're an
Yeah.
Islamophobe, and Allah knows best. Those are the two
Oh, I
correct
got you.
answers.
Yeah, we're on the same page here.
So I know
Absolutely.
Islam really well. All I have to say is you're an Islamophobe. Allah knows
And, and,
best.
and and that the problem is, Lloyd, that goes against verse 2. Quran chapter 12, verse 2. I mean, verse 1 and verse 2 is a problem to start with the chapter, as we're going to read in a minute here. But I don't know how Muslims really think. They don't think, brother. They really don't use their brain. When Muslims use their brain and think and ask questions, that's when they will become an infidel, like all those who left Islam after years of being in Islam. Anyway, all right.
All right. All Muslims believe Jacob was a prophet. They even believe in his book, the Book of Jacob. They do. Do they even read? Do they read it? Do they read it? Do they read the
Well,
gospel?
listen, it used to be there, but somehow it disappeared.
They don't have a copy?
Nope, not even one page out of his book.
They don't have other scholars in the region mentioning it, talking about it?
Nope,
There's no
nope. Only
quotes of it in other books by other scholars?
no. Nope. But it's true. Allah said so. It's true.
Right. Because you know that absence of evidence is
Is the
evidence
great
that there is no
evidence of
evidence.
truth.
It's that simple.
Hey, see, if I tell you there was a city and the city was destroyed completely, and you do not see any evidence for the city, that means that there was city there because I said in my stories that the city was destroyed completely. If you have if you have anything left of the
Yeah,
city,
because
it
there's the
means it
absence
was
of
not
evidence,
destroyed
which is
completely.
proof that it was there, but it was covered up by the CIA. I get it. I get it.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, they believe in his book. That's great. The Injil, huh? Maybe it's so
No, no,
convenient.
no,
The
no.
book.
The book of Jacob is different than the Injil of Isa.
Yeah, but they don't have that one either. They don't have a copy. They don't have a single page, not a
Well,
mention.
the Christian is the one who ruined that book. You know, the Christian ruined that book.
That's the Muslims phoning you to call you an Islamophobe.
Yep, and I concur. I concur.
Ibn Kathir said that Jacob had 12 sons and he called them the tribes of Israel. He also said that the noblest and greatest son was Joseph. How did Ibn Kathir know that Jacob had 12 sons? Some Muslim scholars state Joseph was the only prophet among them, and that none of his brothers received any revelation.
That's not
This was,
true. That's a lie. I'm sorry.
okay. Quran 21:36. We believe to 136, sorry. We believe in Allah and what has been sent down to us and what has been sent down to Abraham and Ishmael and Isaac. Okay, where are these books? The one sent down to Abraham, Ishmael, and Isaac and Jacob. Where are those books that was sent down?
Brother, you're reading a verse not to think about it. You're reading it just for the fun of reading it, and then you skip your
Yeah,
thoughts.
well,
But
Allah
listen this.
basically vacuumed them all up to replace them with the Quran. It was just Allah's work.
And the book
So,
of Isaac, do you have the book of Isaac too?
um,
No, you don't have the book of Isaac.
there is one called the Book of Eli, and that is available in DVD and streaming, and it stars Denzel Washington. So
Oh, okay. How
there's
about
that.
the book of Aspat? How about the book of Aspat?
I mean, I'm not really into cooking, but if you like it, then that's great.
Do you know what? Do you know what the word Aspat is actually? Click on number 3, man. Click on number 3.
Tribes,
Ooh, the book of tribes.
the
It's a
book
Hebrew
of
Syriac origin word. So not only we know that Joseph was not the only prophet, but all his brothers were prophets. They also all have books. I mean, the book of Judah, the book of Reuben, the book of Samson, the book of Benjamin. I mean, all them guys have books, man. What is
and they
wrong with you?
disappeared.
Can't you speak Arabic?
Man, they disappeared. All of these books. There's no records.
What I'm saying is, I'm only quoting a verse, Quran chapter 2, verse 136, to prove to the Muslims that Ibn Kathir was dumb. He does not even know his own Quran. Can you imagine? I'm Usama Dakdok, who do not have any high, big degree about Islam. But I know Islam better than Ibn Kathir.
Yeah, but you were
Matter of fact,
the Usama Dakdok. That's different.
well, I know. When you put the in front of it, make it a little bit like this. What do you call the guy during the night and the duck? Well, what do you call it? I can't
Dark-winged
remember.
duck, the terror that flaps in the night.
Yes, flaps in the night. All right. So obviously, go ahead, read the next program, please.
To understand the life of Jacob, we must know the life of his father, Isaac. The Quran does not say much about Isaac. To be fair, Ibn Kathir copied enough from the Genesis account to help the reader understand the Quran. As mentioned before, without the Bible, neither Muslims nor Muhammad nor his scholars could understand or explain any of the stories of the Quran. When Muslims read the entire interpretation of Ibn Kathir, do they even think to ask where he got it? No, they don't. You keep asking this question. It's like asking a wall how it got built. Usama, you keep asking this
It's
question, and
important.
the answer is not going to change, Usama. The answer is not going to
I know,
change.
but I hope and I pray that maybe some Muslim is watching us right now or will watch that video later, and that this question will dawn on him. It's like, wait a minute. Yes, I'm reading Ibn Kathir and other scholars. Yes, I understand the writing. Yes, now the Quran is clear to me. But where did Ibn Kathir came up with this knowledge? From the corrupt book of the Bible?
No, he had these
Hello?
books. He had the book of Jacob, but then the copy got lost. His dog ate it.
Well, stuff happen all the time, you know. You can't help it.
It does. It does. I mean, it's for instance, we know where it is. It's in the secret archives of the Vatican, and the Vatican won't release it to prove that Islam is true. True story.
Yep, I know. Me too.
True story. So, how did you know that the name of Isaac's wife was Rebecca? How did you know that Isaac was 40 years old when he married her? How did he or any other Muslim scholar know that Rebecca was barren? Ibn Kathir knew their sons' names, but he wrote the first son's name in error since it is misspelled in the Arabic. Okay.
Well, that's
How did
just a
Ibn Kathir
symbol.
know the story? Sorry?
Well, it's a simple mistake, no big deal. We all make mistakes when we write something down, you know.
Yeah.
If you
How
were
did Ibn Kathir?
distracted in your thought, you know, or something.
You know what? It's the or something. It's definitely or something.
Yeah.
I think that's the main cause here. How did Ibn Kathir know the story of how Esau sold his birthright to his brother Jacob for food and how Jacob stole the blessing from his brother Isaac? Did you know that Esau decided to kill his brother Jacob, but that Jacob escaped, went to his uncle Laban's home? How did you know about the story of Jacob and the angels going up and down the stairs? How did you know about the anointing of the rock with oil? How did you know Laban's daughters' names? Leah and Rachel, or that Jacob was deceived into marrying the older daughter and not the younger, after working for her for 7 years. Ibn Kathir said, strangely enough, that Jacob's father-in-law gave the younger sister as a wife to Jacob, and that this was lawful in their religion, and was abrogated in the law of the Torah, but Jacob took two sisters as wives at the same time. He stated this was enough evidence that abrogation happened. Obviously, he was attempting to defend abrogation in the Quran. And this is why Jacob could marry two sisters, even though this was forbidden in the laws of the Torah. What Ibn Kathir did not understand was that before Moses, there was no law. Therefore, Jacob did not sin by marrying two sisters. There was no abrogation of law, for the law did not yet exist.
How
Fair
can you
point.
abrogate laws when you don't have it?
But they were Muslims, because you
It-
know that Adam was a Muslim, then he became an apostate, and then Jacob was a Muslim, he became an apostate, but they were born Muslims, so therefore they knew the Islamic law, and then I don't know what they did.
Mashallah, mashallah. You're much greater than Ibn Kathir, man. You make more sense to me right now than Ibn Kathir.
That's what people say. I make a lot more sense than Ibn Kathir.
Hmm.
I get that a lot. I get that a lot. So
Yeah.
how did you know that Laban gave two
Whoa, whoa,
maidservants
whoa,
to?
whoa, 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 Lloyd, and you're very humble about it. I understand that. Yeah.
As you're right, you're right. It's very hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way, but
Oh.
so I have to make an extra effort.
I remove the mirror from my house because I don't like to look at the mirror anymore. The more I look to the mirror, the more I see how perfect I am. So I decided to remove all mirrors. Even my car does not have a rear mirror or side mirror. I took all the mirrors out.
Okay, that's great. All right, too much information. Let's move back to the Quran. Okay, so considering how did you know the names of the two sons of Jacob, although some of their names were written with the wrong spelling in the Arabic language? I mean, guys, are these bad jokes better than the Quran? Because you know,
You're killing me, Smalls.
I mean, maybe it's not a surah like it, but maybe it's a joke just like it. A
Yeah,
bad joke
with the fun
just
one.
like it. So yeah, some of their names were written with the wrong spelling in the Arabic. Considering the work of Jacob with his uncle, how did Ibn Kathir know how Jacob was able to gain large flocks of sheep and goats? How did he know Jacob met with angels and who they were? How did he know the story of the angel who appeared as a human and wrestled with Jacob all morning, even though he did not know why Jacob was wrestling with this man? And amazingly, while the angel, incarnated Lord Jesus Christ, changed his name from Jacob to Israel, as we have seen earlier. We could ask more questions about the rest of the story of Jacob, but the answers to these questions can be given in one simple sentence. The information Ibn Kathir wrote was plagiarized. He did exactly what his prophet Muhammad did in the past, because Muhammad also copied stories from the Bible. So the difference between Muhammad and Ibn Kathir was that Muhammad did not give very many details. Ibn Kathir gave probably too many details. So this cannot be considered
Yeah.
interpretation, but rather fabrication and filling in missing information by plagiarizing from the Bible. So let's look at the
Yep.
story of Joseph in the Quran and we compare it to what is written in Genesis. In the Quran, Joseph's name is mentioned in 3 different locations. Quran 684. Muhammad mentions the name of Joseph. Muhammad confuses the names of some well-known men in the Bible with Arabic men's names and their relationships. The false names have the correct names in the footnotes, according to Quran 684 to 87. And we granted him Isaac and Jacob, both
We
who
read that.
guided. And
Yes.
Noah was their
Yeah.
Noah was their uncle twice removed who lived down the street, right?
Yep. That's a guy.
I'm sure Noah's still around. I went to the beach once and there was a guy there, and and yeah, he was. I'm pretty sure that could have been Noah, but he might have been my uncle too.
Hmm.
I mean, like I actually, I wrote music, but I don't understand musical notation. So every time I listen to a song, I think to myself, maybe I wrote that. Same thing.
You're killing me.
I mean, you just don't know, right? I
It
mean,
must be true. If you know it, you know it. You must know it. Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, but I don't have the musical notes. They're all disappeared. So people stole the songs from me. That's how you know.
Yep.
Because
Hmm.
yeah, and then he goes on and says, oh, good grief, this is insane. And so, okay, where was I? According
Yeah.
to
The
Quran
one verse I forgot
84,
to mention earlier is Quran chapter 40 and verse 34. Please, yeah. Go ahead.
go to the Quran.
Yeah, but no, it's coming up. You're gonna read it here written in the book.
Okay, Quran 684, and we granted to him Isaac and Jacob, both we guided, and
So
Noah
skip
we
that
guided
one. That's
before,
not blah 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 blah. Yeah, we
and
got it.
among his descendants, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Ishmael and Al Yasa, who's that? And Yunus and Lut. I want to
Yes,
check this.
that's supposed to be Elisha.
Elisha.
It's the wrong name in
Okay,
Arabic too. It's supposed to be Elijah, not Elias. Elias. I don't know
I
who.
was thinking, and
Muhammad did
Yunus
not know
and Lut.
Arabic.
And we preferred all of those above. Why are they preferring Jewish prophets above the world? Are they going to claim they're Muslims like
Because
this, like the
these
Palestinians?
listen, brother, these were Muslim Palestinians. They were not Jewish. You got it wrong.
Wait. You know what? You sure? You know what I think? It must have been Pakistanians because at least the Pakistanians are real. So I think it's Pakistan they're talking about.
Could be.
I
They're very
mean,
close. This is a
I'm doing
few
my
miles
best here.
apart.
I'm
Yeah.
doing my best. I'm trying to put the pieces together, and this is the best I can do here.
Yep. Let's
And
go to the final place that Muhammad mentioned Joseph's name is in Quran 40. That's the verse I
40 and
forgot to read to you. Oh,
34.
go ahead.
Okay, and indeed, Joseph brought to you the proofs before, so you are still in doubt from what he brought you until when he perished, you said, Allah will not send a messenger after him. Holy moly, that's the secret message. I've been waiting for that my whole life.
Here it is. I wrote it just for you. I wrote it just for you. Mm-mm-mm.
You, you're right. Joseph brought you the proofs before, so you are still in doubt from what he brought you until when he died, and you said, Allah will not send help. Someone please help. I'm trapped in here with Usama and he's making me read this. Please, someone call the police. This is okay.
Hey,
Allah
you need
leads
to read the go. Okay, go to the Quran. See if you need the context to understand what Muhammad is talking about. Go to Quran
we,
chapter 40 and verse 34. Okay,
let's
Quran
go to
chapter
Quran
40 and
40
verse
verse
34.
34. Let's do that.
Yeah, yeah, because otherwise you're gonna complain about it the rest of my life. I don't want to hear any more complaint.
No, I'm faking my death after this one. I've already got it planned. So
You know who's speaking here first of all?
no idea.
That's Moses, man. Moses,
Pharaoh
brother.
said,
Prophet Moses, peace be upon him. Okay?
okay. And Moses says, okay, let's start at 33. A day you will turn your back, retreating. You will not have any defender against Allah, and whomever Allah leads astray, so he does not have a guide. And indeed,
No, no,
brother
I'm sorry.
Joseph,
By the way, whoa. That was a man, that was a believer, a secret believer in Moses' days. Let me take it back. Go to Quran chapter, same chapter, go to verse 28.
yeah,
Start from verse
okay.
28, so you see the context. Yeah, I apologize. I made a
And the
big boo-boo.
believing man from the family of Pharaoh, who was hiding his faith, said, will you kill a man because he is saying, my Lord is Allah? And indeed, he came to you with proofs from your Lord. And if he's a liar, so his lie is against him. And if he is truthful, some of what he promises will fall on you. Surely Allah will not guide he who is extravagant, a liar. O my people,
See, now here's a question. Who is this believer from the family of Pharaoh who was secretive? I mean, he was a believer in his heart, but he never told anybody. Okay, who is this guy? Nobody knows. So keep going. Next verse.
um, but he's not a believer in his heart. because Allah will help from the torment of Allah if it comes to us. And Pharaoh said, I will not let you see except what I see, and I will not guide you except to the right way. And the one who believed said, O my people, surely I have fear for you, like the party's day. I mean, yeah, I used to, when I was younger, partying was fine. But now that I'm older, these parties are very tiring, I must admit. So I sympathize with him. And maybe he's talking
He's
to
not
like,
talking about this kind of party, the brother. Ahzab, that is when the people got together to go to make a bigger army, bigger crowd. It's not party like you think. Okay.
so the two-party system is not like a party on a Friday and a party on a Saturday. It's different.
No, no, no. That's different. Yeah.
Okay. And the one who believed said, O my people, surely I fear for you like the party's day, and like the habit of the people of Noah and Ad and Thamud and those who came after them. And Allah does not desire injustice to the servants.
Yeah. Hmm.
No, that's good. And O my people,
Yep.
surely I fear for you the summoning day, the day you will turn your back, retreating. You will not have any defender against Allah. And whomever Allah leads astray, so he does not have a guide.
Hmm.
Okay. So only Allah can guide you, but the fact that you turn your back is your fault. All righty.
Sure.
And, and indeed, Joseph brought to you the proofs before, so you are still in doubt from what he brought you. Until when he perished, you said, Allah will not send a messenger after him. Likewise, Allah leads astray who is extravagant, a doubter. Okay, those who just,
That's
yeah,
that is the end of Joseph outside of Quran chapter 12. It is this secret believer mentioned Joseph as he was sent to the people of Egypt as a prophet, which is obviously a great evidence that Muhammad does not know jack about Joseph, because Joseph, as we're going to be looking at Quran chapter 12, was not sent to Egyptian, to Pharaoh and his people as a prophet, but he actually was sold as a slave, and he was the reason why the family of Jacob came to Egypt, and by that, the fulfillment of the prophecy which God gave to Abraham about the 400 years of his descendants will be in a foreign land and they will be abused, they'll be enslaved, and then they leave that land with great might and great gold and silver and treasures. And that is when you see Moses coming to the story to take the children of Israel out of Egypt to the promised land. Muhammad, see,
that's
this
a
is
very
simple.
complicated. I see the problem. That's too complicated already.
Why? You see,
Because
let me say it again. God told Abraham in his frightening dream in Genesis 15 that his descendants will come back to this promised land to take. But first, they're going to go to a foreign land. They're going to be there for 400 years. And then God will allow them to go through some hardship, that is slavery. And then God will punish the people of the land. And see, that is the story of Moses.
that's going to make a very bad movie. What we need to do is we're going to rewrite it now. Okay.
Yeah,
And it's going to be super easy, barely an inconvenience. What we're going to
yeah.
do is we're going to make Joseph the hero. And then he's going to tell Pharaoh, hey, Pharaoh, let my people go. And then Pharaoh's going to give him lip and he's going to go, I am going to have Allah harden your heart. And then Pharaoh's going to go, please
Ah,
don't. And
my
then
world.
Joseph is going to take his Technicolor coat and then he's going to like, it's neon colored. He's going to switch it on. And it's going to blind Pharaoh. And then Pharaoh's going to be blinded. And then Joseph's going to say, I'm taking my people. I'm leaving. And that's a much better story. How's that?
Well, I like his story too. It's better than Muhammad's story, but they're not good. They're not true. The Genesis account is much better. I know.
Maybe Muhammad was just a bad script writer, not as good as me.
Well, yours is better than Muhammad. Don't misunderstand me, but it's still wrong.
Right. Okay.
All
Well,
right.
we'll
Forget about the Quran now. Get rid of the Quran for now. For now.
thank
Not
heavens for
not
that.
all the way.
Thank heavens.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now you understand. You now understand Quran 40 verse 34.
Right. So, and indeed, Joseph brought you the proofs before, right? And likewise, Allah leads astray who was extravagant, the doubter. And according to the Quran, this statement was told by a secret believer. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. By a family of Pharaoh in his defense of the prophet Moses when Pharaoh decided to kill him. Alrighty then, and we can understand from this verse that Joseph was a prophet whom Allah sent to the Egyptians, but they did not believe in him. This not only contradicts the story of Joseph in the Bible, it contradicts the Quran itself. As we'll see it in Quran 12, we see that Joseph was never sent as a prophet to the Egyptians. Why am I not surprised? Much of what is written about Joseph is in Quran 12. So let's look at the story in Quran 12. This portion of the Revelation is named after Joseph, begins with verse 1. These are verses of the clear book. And the words Alif, Lam,
why you left
Ra.
ALR, man?
Alif,
Verse 1,
Lam,
brother.
Ra.
ALR. Can you see that verse? ALR?
Alif, Lam, Ra.
Yes, it's what?
It's like saying, and a partridge in a pear tree. It's like a nice
Oh, no,
ending.
actually, I know what that means, but I do not know what ALR means.
No, it's like a musical ending. It's like ending with the
Brother, this is a beginning, not an ending.
It's a chorus. It's a chorus. It's like a chorus. You know, like sing hallelujah, sing it. But it's kind of like that. So you got to do that in your head. It's kind of like you just do a
Yep. Must be true.
You know, yeah, that's what it is. I'm glad I can help.
It says these are the verses of the clear book. I don't know how can the book can be clearer than that when you read three letters and you don't know even what they mean. That make it very clear. Clear like mud.
It's not clear to you because Allah is not guiding you. Allah guides whom He wills, and Allah works in mysterious ways. So I'm none the wiser. Just Janice is having a problem here. Allah, can you help out, please? Allah's having issues here. Help Janice, please. Janice needs some help. So some Muslims, like Al-Jalalain, said that Abu Jafar said that his word was made of 3 letters, which means in the Arabic language, I am Allah. See? But Ibn Abbas said this word contained 3 letters from the name of Allah. Yeah, it's right, including the R, which is the silent letter. Allah. It's actually Allah. R is the last letter, but it's silent. Allah.
We don't have silent letters in the Arabic language. You only have that in English, but not in Arabic.
Yeah, but you used to until it was abrogated by the Jews in the Old Testament, and they corrupted the Quran.
Man, you got an answer for everything. You're killing me, Smalls.
I'm sorry, but these stories are stupid. It's like it's random. It's so random.
We haven't even started. We're in verse 1.
Please make it stop, please.
Yeah.
So this is one of the names of the Quran. It is a miracle, a secret word, and no one understands its meaning except Allah. Of course, the end. That's why the word is in the Bible every 14th verse.
Yeah.
You know, because you read it and it says, and God said, and then just random. That's why we have those random words in the Bible. And you see, in fact, you know what it is? It's a QR code.
Oh. Now
it's
make
like an
more
old
sense.
school QR code.
Yep.
But the system fell out of use because, you know, the Muslims were, it's part of their science. They discovered all these things and they used to have this. So if you knew that, you would then read the QR code and you'd go to like to the right, you know, yeah. Others said this word is one of the names of the Quran. It's a miracle or secret word, and no one understands its meaning except Allah. Of course, the end of the verse says, these are the verses of the clear book. Is this a major contradiction? Come on, man. Allah wouldn't be unclear. How can the Quran claim in this verse that it is clear Arabic when the verse begins with a word which no one knows the meaning? That's continuing.
That's a problem, Houston. Yeah.
Yeah. So no one, no one understands the the Allah. So so clears the muddy pool. All right. Surely we have set it down in Arabic Quran. Perhaps you might understand. Ibn Kathir stated in his book that the Quran is the noblest book which has descended from heaven, the noblest from the noblest angel to the noblest prophet in the noblest place and time. It stated that it had descended in the pure Arabic. Actually, the Quran contains over 270 words. That's more than 270. Should I show you a quick list?
That's the one, brother. That is the number of words which I discovered. There may be another 500. Who knows?
Yeah, I can
See,
show
the
you. This
problem
is
is
the
this. The problem is this.
yeah. The
Yeah, the
problem is
problem is this. We have words we use in the Arabic language. We grew up with it. So we think they're Arabic. When you investigate, we found out actually they're not Arabic. You see what I'm saying?
this is
So
my
that's
list.
what happened, changing.
Many viewers will have seen this. I put this together. This is from Arthur Jeffrey's work, 1937, 1938. It's a bit out of date, but he gives these languages that are in the Quran. You can see here from the Syriac, Aramaic, the Hebrew. You can see how many words. If you count it today, it's even more words that are known. Ethiopic is almost 200 words.
But let me explain something, brother. Some of the Syriac words are actually Aramaic and they are actually Hebrew. So it's not because the word is repeated in different language that means it's a different word. If you
Yeah, but
investigate these,
in terms of unique words, I mean, they're not exactly identical. So in terms of unique
Mhm.
words, these are the words as Arthur Jeffrey separated them because he spoke fluent Arabic. He actually taught at Cairo
Yeah,
University, and yeah, so he's got. I mean, if you look, for instance, he splits Ethiopic, but down here he's got Amharic. So he distinguishes between these dialects and what is separate. And then you've got up to 55 potential languages with over 2,000 words that he identified.
man, that's a big study. I need to look at this myself to dig in a
I
little
will
bit
send
more.
you this. You know what? I'm gonna share this with Usama Dakdok. That is your name, right? Um,
Yep, that's it. That's my name. But I need these words in the text, not just a list.
I'm sending you the list without being in the text. You can find it in the book. Okay, moving on.
That does not help me.
I'll send you the book. So
All
the
right.
Quran contains over 2,000 words not from Arabic, but rather words from many other languages. Some are mentioned once, some are mentioned over 100 times. One of the strange words Muhammad repeated throughout the Quran is the word perhaps, especially when it was said by Allah. Did Allah know that the followers of Islam would understand the Quran when He revealed it in Arabic? Obviously, the answer is no. So, right, how can Allah send His religion of Islam as a mercy to the whole world, but at the same time, hardly any people of the world can read or understand the Quran? Well, you can understand the Quran, except you can only understand it out of context, according to Muslims, especially when I deal with
Yeah.
Muslims. Especially when we know that 87% of Muslims in the world today cannot read or understand the Quran because they don't read or understand Arabic. And that's everybody. Never mind, it's everybody.
Even the
What
Arab,
is
there are plenty of Arab do not understand the Quran.
30% of Arabs are uneducated and cannot read or write the Arabic language? Yeah, that's why they're all going to Europe because they can all speak perfect English.
Yep.
Why don't they move to Palestine where they'll meet the original Muslims or something and then get in touch with the Holy
Learn
Land
Arabic.
vibe? Oh, okay. Well, that's a pity. That's a big pity. Yeah. Okay. Very few can read the Arabic language, but cannot understand what is written in the Quran. Verse 12 states, verse 12, no, chapter 12, verse 3 states, we narrate to you the best of the stories by which we'll reveal to you this Quran. And before it, you were among the unaware. Before you knew this, you didn't know this. Did you know that?
Yep. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I read once, it's like in Genesis chapter 1 where you get that amazing advice. Everything was so different before it all changed. You know, you get it's like I mean, there's like fantastic advice. I mean, in the Quran, chapter 7, verse 12, it says, if your dog is fat, you are not getting enough exercise. There's lots
Because
of
you need to walk with your dog so dog can be good health and you also be in good health. MashaAllah, man, that is wisdom here. That is
Yeah,
weird.
no, at least it should have been in the Quran because that would have been good, some good advice.
Yeah,
Okay,
but there's nothing in the Quran. Good. Yeah, go ahead.
when we read these verses, we assume that this portion of the revelation contains the best stories ever told, for Allah does not lie. Okay, but Joseph is one of my favorite stories in the Bible. The first time I read this in the Bible was in my early teens. Some parts of the account made me laugh, others made me cry. It touched me and moved me. It was a very easy story to understand. And when I remembered when I read it for the first time in the Quran, my reaction was completely different, for I did not know what I should do. Should I laugh or should I cry? There was a huge difference and a large number of errors and contradictions because there was so much missing information and added fabrications. Years later, as I now write about this story, I realize why Muslims cannot understand the Quran. It was not I who said that the story of Joseph is the best. These are the words of Allah, as we read in verse 3. We narrate to you the best of the stories. All right, if the story of Joseph in the Quran is the best, what is the condition of the rest of the Quran? Yeah, let's see.
Don't you think that's a nice line here, man? If that is the best you can offer me, what about the worst you can offer me? What about every other thing you want to talk about? It's a problem.
There's Ibn Kathir for that, okay?
Yep.
Right. Verse 4 to 6. When Joseph said to his father, "Oh, my father, surely I saw 11 stars and the sun and the moon. I saw them worshipping me." He said, "Oh, my son, do not relate your dream to your brothers, so they plot a plot against you. Surely Satan is an obvious enemy to the human, and likewise your Lord will choose you and will teach you the interpretation of the sayings and fulfill his grace on you and the family of Jacob as he fulfilled it before on your fathers Abraham and Isaac. Surely your Lord is knowing, wise." What wasn't Moses in the mix not long ago? How'd they forget Moses all of a
No,
sudden?
but movies come a little bit later. Yeah.
Okay. Ibn Kathir stated that when Joseph was young, before the age of puberty, he saw in a dream 11 stars, which were his brothers, and the sun and the moon, which are his father and mother, worshipping him. This scared him, so when he woke from his sleep, he told the dream to his father. His father said he would have a great position. His father commanded Joseph not to tell his dreams to his brothers, so that they would not envy, resent, or treat him with deception.
All
Ibn
right.
Kathir made
Here's
fun
my
of.
question to you, Lord. Yeah. What is the age of puberty?
I don't know that guy. It's a very strange name for someone to have. Pubert, like birth, but puberty. I mean, it's a process. It's not an age. It's a process. Typically in Islam, I mean, they declare puberty around 15, 17 in some madhabs. I mean, typically it
But do you
starts around
know?
13, finishes around 18, right?
But what I'm saying is, why Ibn Kathir is fabricating information does not mention in the Quran and the Bible talk. I mean, I'm trying to figure out why he add information over that which is written in the Quran. According to the Quran, he's a little baby. He's actually 3, 4 years old, not 14, not 12, not 10. I'm talking about 3, 4 years old, as we're going to show you from the reading of the word of Allah in the Quran. So why Ibn Kathir is adding this information to create what?
No,
That
but
is
people
fabrication,
were
not
taller and
interpretation.
bigger back then, and then it changed. Now 3, 4 year olds are like babies, but back then they were like men.
Yeah.
It's like I like Aisha. She was like, 6 was the, today it's 6, but then it was the 18. I mean, as Muhammad used to say, 18 is the new 6.
Yeah, most likely. Makes
Something
sense
something
out
like
of
that.
yeah, yeah.
Ibn Kathir made fun of and accused the people of the book of corrupting their Bible when they said that Joseph told the dream to his fathers and brothers. We encourage the reader to read the entire account of the book of Genesis, chapter 37. Many of the verses will be paraphrased. Genesis 37 describes how Joseph had a dream which he revealed to his brothers. This caused them to hate him even more. In the dream, they were in a field binding sheaves, and Joseph's sheaf stood upright. The brothers' sheaves bowed down to his sheaf. The brothers asked Joseph if he were going to reign or have dominion over them. They hated him even more because of his dream and his words. Joseph had yet another dream. He told his brothers and their father that he had another dream in which the sun, moon, and 11 stars had bowed down to him. The father rebuked Joseph and asked if Joseph's father, mother, and brothers would all bow down before him. Then his brothers envied him, but his father kept this in mind. In the Quran, Joseph dreamed one dream, but in the Bible, he had two dreams. Then in the interpretations of the Quran story, Joseph was at the age prior to puberty when he had the dream, even as young as 3 or 4. And they said in the Quran 12, "O our father, why do you not trust us with Joseph? Surely we will be advisors to him. Send him with us tomorrow so that he may enjoy and play. Truly we will be keepers to him." He said, "Surely it will grieve me if you take him. I fear that the wolf will eat him while you are not watching him." They said, "If the wolf eats him and we are many, surely then we are losers." It'll be too bad if that happens, but yeah, we can live with it. So the Bible gives his age as 17. So how did the scholars determine Joseph's age from verses 4 to 6 or from any other verse? The Quran gives no information which can suggest that Joseph at the time of his dream was younger than this. Ibn Kathir stated that Jacob advised Joseph to keep the dream a secret because Allah would give him kindness and mercy and teach him the interpretation of the dream. Allah would fulfill his grace upon Joseph by giving him the revelation, and Allah would be good to him as he had been to Joseph's ancestors, Joseph, Isaac, and Abraham. So we ask the following questions. What is the relationship between having a dream and interpreting a dream? Because someone dreams a dream, does that mean that this person can automatically interpret them? Why would Joseph, well, I mean, why would Joseph's brothers hate him?
Yeah. If they never heard about his dream. Even in the biblical account later when he took the food to the land of Dulce, the first sentence, "Here is a dreamer." See, that is internal evidence that the Bible is accurate. When you continue to read about some specific subject or specific matter in the Bible, well, guess what? Everywhere you go, the Bible confirms the Bible. But in the Quran, you don't have anything to confirm anything.
Yes. Yeah. So why did Joseph's brothers hate him to the point they wanted to kill him if he was a little boy and they knew nothing of his dream? So in order to see the consistency of the original account in the Bible, we read Genesis 37, 18 to 20. When the brothers saw Joseph in the distance, they conspired to kill him. Then they said to one another, as written in verse 18, "Look, the stranger is coming." This verse shows
dreamer is coming. Yep.
That Joseph's brothers called him the dreamer, which is evidence that they knew about his dream. So Joseph.
See, that is what I'm trying to share. I didn't even know that I wrote it down. I'm glad that it is written.
But dreamers are people that come across your border because they are looking for a better life. Just like the rainbow.
That's only in America. When it only happened when the liberals are in the White House. That is the only time.
Maybe they were trying to use that name to sort of gain some kind of justification for it, to gain support from evangelicals or Christians or whatever.
Biblical account to prove to make a point. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I wouldn't put past them at all. So when Muhammad was asked, who was the most noble among all the people, Ibn Kathir says, Joseph, Prophet of Allah. So what did Joseph do? And the son of the Prophet of Allah, Jacob, the son of the Prophet of Allah, Isaac, the son of the friend of Allah, Abraham. Okay. The Quran gives no details of the important stories. The Hadith of Muhammad sometimes gives odd information that we wonder why we need it. A great example is when Ibn Kathir said, a man by the name of Jabir said, a Jewish man by the name of Bostanit al-Yahudi came to Muhammad. He said, Muhammad, inform me about the stars which worship Joseph. What were their names? And Jabir said, the prophet did not answer him with anything, and Angel Gabriel descended to him with their names. He said, the Prophet of Allah descended to him. Will you believe if I told you the names? He said, yes. He said, they are Gerian, Al-Tarq, Al-Diyal, Zul, Al-Kitfan, Kabs, Wosan, Amirdan, Al-Filk, Al-Musbah, Al-Droh, Al-Fira, Al-Diya, Al-Nur. Yes. The Jewish man said, "By Allah, surely it is their names." Yeah, yeah.
Here's a question. This is ridiculous. If I came to you and I ask you for specific names of something, and you did not know, that's the end of the story. You're not who you think you are. You're not who you claim you are. No, Muhammad, wait, he didn't answer. Got the answer somewhere else and gave it to him. And the guy knows the answer for the question. I love it even when Muhammad is asked question. And the man would tell him, no one knows the answer for this. The Jewish man would tell Muhammad, no one knows the answer for this question except Allah and true prophet. Well, but you yourself are not a true prophet. So if you're not a true prophet, how in the world you know the answer of Muhammad is the accurate answer? Maybe he made it up.
So I'm just curious,
I don't know.
how do they get the names? I mean, how do they get these names?
It's made up.
Al Nur.
It is made up. It's made up. The Jewish people made up names, and Muhammad heard the names, found out what the names, and he gave it to him. MashaAllah. Now
So,
we
like,
got the
look at all these
law.
names. They prove me wrong. It's like, yeah, you can't prove yourself right.
There's no stars by these names. The Bible never mentioned any stars with any names. He's talking about the 12 sons of Jacob. That is Joseph and his 11 brothers, and the sun and the moon, that is his father and his mother. We're not talking about stars by any other names, except these are representative of his family. End of story. So if you want to give them names, you're going to give them the names of the brothers of Joseph.
This is,
But
God,
it
why?
is what, you know what? I've said that before, Lloyd. Show me, teach me, Father, how to be ridiculous. Oh, the answer is very simple, son. Find something not important and make a big deal about it. That is the beauty of Muslim scholars. They find something is not important and they go on and on and on and fabricating information, and now they're scholars. I mean,
Wow, this is,
I care less about knowing the names of the stars, but I need to know the story of Joseph.
I
You don't
mean,
have the story of Joseph, but you know names of the stars.
wow. I mean, this is, I mean, you don't have to read every sentence to realize that this is just retarded.
It is that, and that is the best of the Quran. That is physically the best of the Quran. And the more you dig, the more you find how deep the Quran in trouble is in trouble. Anyway, let's go to verse 8, 7 and 8. Yes, sir.
Right. Indeed, it was Joseph and his brothers, signs for the inquirers. When they said, "Truly, Joseph and his brother are more loved by our father than us, and we are a large group. Surely our father is in obvious error." Ibn Kathir said that Joseph and his brother Benjamin, who had the same mother, were loved more by their father than with the rest of the brothers. One must stop here and ask the following questions. How did Ibn Kathir know that the name of the blood brother was Benjamin? Were they not blood brothers? Did they have a different mother? Ah, you see, he had bad memory. He couldn't remember his brother's name that day.
Yeah.
So, because he was hit on the head by a bad fall, and it hit the name remembering section of his brain.
Yep. Yep. I understand.
At least I think that's a fair assessment. So we must ask ourselves. So Ibn Kathir says that Joseph and his brother Benjamin, who had the same mother, were loved more by their father than with the rest of the brothers. So let's ask the following question: how did Ibn Kathir know the name of the blood brother was Benjamin? Were they not right? Did they have a different mother? No. For most Jews and Christians, the story from Genesis 29 to 30 is well known, but Muslims have no knowledge of this because the information is never written in the Quran. One must ask why Jacob. The Quran's a tiny book. I mean, some hadiths say there were 15,000, 16,000 verses. That means a lot could have been stripped out.
Yep.
And these days, there's still, man, can this be the whole Quran? Can this genuinely be the whole Quran? Or was it, we know it was burned.
I do not have an answer for you. I know that some of the chapters of the Quran is missing hundreds of verses, so I do not know.
Right. I mean, isn't there one verse where they say there's 200 verses in this Quran in the hadith, and you go count it, there's like 20 or something.
Quran
So it's like
chapter,
180.
yeah.
Yeah.
the book of Tawbah chapter 9 supposed to be as big as Quran chapter 2. Also, the book of Ahzab, I believe, chapter 33 is supposed to be as big as chapter 2. But these are, I mean, chapter 9 only have what 73 verses. So we're missing 127 verses or so in one chapter, more than a half, one and a quarter.
Yeah. Yeah, I want us to wonder. Rory is asking, should the Quran be banned in European countries? So should Islam.
Yeah.
I mean,
If
I
if
think it
if
needs to be
European,
legit.
if you don't,
Sorry?
it's yeah, it's one of the two. If you don't ban the Quran, you're gonna ban Europe. One of the two.
Yeah, pick one. And I think that we can legitimately, as we see in the Sharia, that Islam is hate speech. I thought hate speech is bad in Europe, bad in the UK. So on that basis, it must be banned. It leads to hateful outcomes. I think this is very, very clear. But then again, the people in charge of censorship are probably Muslims. I mean, YouTube's Islamic content management is managed by Yasser Qadi.
Yeah.
Why do you think my channel is having a hard time? Because Yasser Qadi runs and monitors what's acceptable on YouTube for Islamic content.
Mhm.
So that's pretty okay.
Yasser Qadi does not like me from Adam, brother. Long time ago, we have some big TV shows. We exposed him and Dr. James White, and now we know for sure, and the whole world knows for sure that we were right years ago. We were right, and now the American people are paying for their ignorance.
Yeah. I mean, it's you either take the bitter pill now or you have to deal with a much more bitter pill later. But
And the problem
Islam,
is later is going to be cancer schedule 4, or what do you call this, stage 4, which means death to Europe. That's what it is. You cannot fix it later.
yeah, I mean, it's past the point of simple solutions now, and I mean, they're pushing these backdoor blasphemy laws like in the UK. You can't burn a Quran. I mean, and fine, they may say there's no blasphemy law.
And
They
if you,
may,
and the sad thing, not to think of good of the subject, but if you look what Mr. Donald Trump did today, it is one mistake after another in his trip to Qatar and Saudi Arabia. One mistake after another. Just today, he lifted up the ban from Syria. I mean, literally, he is destroying the Middle East, make it ready for the next big war.
yeah, but sometimes I wonder about his advisors. It's like they just seem like clueless fools.
He is gonna appease the Muslims. He's gonna take their gift and gives them make some good deals with them, which will bring the world to the last battle against Israel. It's coming up in our lifetime. Not 50 years from now, not 20 years from now. It's in the next few years. Sadly, sad
Wow.
story.
I mean, so there's just more information where without the Bible, the Quran makes no sense. The Quran just twists whatever is in the Bible, and the
So
Quran makes
if
claims
you
that it
read
cannot be
Quran
proved.
chapter 12, no, if you read Quran chapter 12 without the plagiarism of Ibn Kathir from the Bible, without interpretation of Ibn Kathir, even though it's said that's the best of the Quran and it's clear Arabic and easy to understand, you could not know jack out of Joseph. You could not
Yeah.
figure anything about Joseph.
That's, I mean, it's just the same issues repeated over and over. I mean, if Muslims can
Every
come to us with
story.
answers to these questions, you know, uh,
Remember we talked about last week? We said I'm going to ask 100 questions and I challenge Muslim to answer one right. I will send them in writings to any Muslim imam, to any scholar. 100 questions. I can say, actually, I can say 150 questions, but let's make them 100. And I challenge any Muslim to answer one. Just answer one right using the Quran. You can't. You can't. Do you know how many questions you already asked today? We haven't even started the story yet. You already asked roughly around 30 questions and you have no answer for them.
yeah, but I mean, but the Quran alone, we follow the Quran only. It's the perfect word of Allah. Like, okay,
Yeah.
so, I mean,
My foot is more easy to understand than the Quran.
yeah. So, missing story in the Quran. The story we're about to share is found in the book of Genesis 25 to 30. Muslims do not know anything about this portion of the story because Muhammad did not include this information in the Quran. To understand the story of Joseph, we must understand the story of his father, Jacob. To understand the story of Jacob, we must know about the story of his father, Isaac. Okay, Isaac married Rebekah. Because she was barren, Isaac prayed for her. She became pregnant with twins. The firstborn son was hairy and was named Esau. The second son was born holding onto the heel of Esau. That is why he was named Jacob, meaning he who follows upon the heels of one or supplanter. Isaac loved Esau, who was a hunter, but Rebekah loved Jacob, who stayed closer to home. Esau came from the fields one day and had been unsuccessful while hunting. Jacob was cooking red pottage and said that he would sell it to Esau for his birthright. Esau swore to him and gave Jacob his birthright because Esau despised it. When Isaac was old and his vision dim, he asked Esau to go out into the wilderness and hunt and then prepare a meal for him so that he could eat it and bless Esau before he died. Rebekah heard the conversation, asked Jacob to go to the flock and bring her 2 kids so she could prepare a meal of them and feed this meal his father Isaac. Then Isaac would eat it and bless Jacob before he died. Jacob reminded his mother that he was a smooth man, but his brother was very hairy. Jacob was afraid he would receive a curse instead of a blessing. Rebekah assured Jacob that the curse would be upon her. Therefore, he did what his mother asked him to do. He put on Esau's clothing. Rebekah covered his hands and necks with animal skins, and Jacob took the food to his father. Jacob lied and said that he was Esau, the firstborn son. Asked his father to eat so that Isaac would bless him. Isaac was surprised he was able to hunt so quickly, but Jacob explained the Lord had made his day easy for him. Isaac asked his son to come close so he would know that this was Esau. Isaac said that the voice was the voice of Jacob, but the hands were the hands of Esau. Isaac asked again if he was Esau, his son. Jacob lied again and said that he was Esau. As Jacob drew near to Isaac to give him the food and wine, Isaac smelled his clothes and then blessed him. After Jacob received the blessing and left his father's presence, Esau returned from hunting. Esau cooked the meat and brought it to his father and said, "May my father eat and bless me." Isaac asked who this was. Esau replied, "He was his firstborn Esau." That's when Isaac told Esau about what had taken place. When Esau found out, he cried out with a great shout and a very bitter cry. He asked Isaac to bless him also, but Isaac said that there was no blessing for him because the blessing had been given to his brother Jacob. Esau asked if there was any blessing for him. Isaac explained that now Jacob was his master and all the brothers were now servants to him. And then Isaac asked what he could do for him. Esau asked his father if he even had only one blessing to bless him also. Esau listed his voice. Isaac said that Esau would live in a land without fatness and without dew, and lifting his sword would be a slave to his brother. So Esau hated Jacob and decided to kill Jacob after the death of the father Isaac. Okay, so he got cheated. Right, so when Jacob's mother, Rebekah, heard about Esau's plan to kill Jacob, she told Jacob to escape to her brother Laban in Haran. She told Isaac that she hated the daughters of Heth and did not want his son Jacob to marry any of these daughters. That's why Isaac called Jacob, blessed him, and asked him to not marry any of the daughters of Canaan, but to go to the house of Bethuel, his mother's father, to marry a daughter of his uncle Laban. Jacob escaped from his brother Esau and journeyed to Uncle Laban's home. After he arrived, he asked some shepherds about his uncle. They pointed to a young lady who was talking to her father's sheep to be watered. When Jacob saw her, he kissed her as he lifted up his voice and cried and introduced himself to her. He went home with her to meet his uncle Laban, and Jacob lived and served his uncle for 1 month. His uncle asked if he was just a relative and why he should serve him for nothing. Laban then asked Jacob for what he wanted to be paid in wages for his work, and Jacob replied that he would serve Laban 7 more years for Rachel to become his wife. Yeah, any comment there? Any thoughts, or what's the significance of this?
What's going on my mind right now is very simple. When you read the Bible, you do not need Ibn Kathir, you do not need any scholar, you do not need any fabrication. The Bible speaks for itself. Literally, a great evidence. You just read a few chapters right now. My summary, for heaven's sake, my own simple words summary have more value, more rich materials than all what you read in the Quran. That's just a few paragraphs you read. They're more rich. I am much better than Allah and Jibreel and Muhammad. And I'm giving you a summary. I'm paraphrasing the Bible. You read the Bible is even better than me. I'm just trying to stick with the number of less pages. So that's why I summarize sometimes the Bible. Can you imagine? When you summarize the Bible, is much richer, much greater than the entire Quran. That's a fact.
It's
So
no surprise. I mean, we've seen this over and over as we've gone through these verses. We've seen the very same thing repeated continuously. It doesn't change. It's the same
yeah,
pattern. So after
yeah,
7 years, he marries the daughter of Laban. But in the morning, he discovered that the woman he married the night before was not Rachel, but his sister Leah. So he gets cheated. So he doesn't cheat
yeah.
and he gets cheated.
But that's a culture. In even until today in Egypt, if you have a bunch of daughters, you will not marry the younger before you marry the older, because if not, then the older will become we will never get married. If you have five, six girls and you marry the younger and you left the oldest one, oh man, that's a problem. Yeah, culture.
Yeah. Because Leah was not loved, the Lord blessed her and she bore four sons Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. Because Rachel could not have any children, she asked Jacob to know her servant Bilhah. Okay, that's Bilhah bore him two sons, Dan and Naphtali. During this time, Leah stopped having children and she gave her servant Zilpah to Jacob. Zilpah bore him two sons, Gad and Asher. Then Leah became fruitful again and bore two more sons, Issachar and Zebulun, and his only daughter, Dinah.
Let's notice here. These names, Zilpah, Leah, Bilhah, Rachel. I'm sorry, it does not exist in the Quran. Who the sons, the brothers of Joseph, they don't exist in the Quran. You cannot tell me the Quran is a clear book where the scholars do not know jack about who's doing what. This is a problem. The Quran is not a clear book. The Quran is a plagiarism, foolish plagiarism to the Bible. If you're going to steal a story, give me some information. And that is the best of the Quran. I mean, I can ask these questions. Who are the wife or the wives of Jacob? And the answer is no one knows. How many? No one knows. How many children does he have? Yeah, you can guess 12 from the Quran. You can guess. But I'm going to ask you, give me the names of the brothers of Joseph in the right order by mentioning the name of the mother. Well, good luck to answer that question. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, gee whiz, it's frustrating to read this, so much. Really, you just so if Muhammad had read the account, oh, so Rachel does get a child,
Yeah,
Joseph,
she got pregnant with Joseph, and then she have another
and
one with
later
Shibir.
Benjamin. So if Muhammad had read the account in the Bible before he made up his Quran, he would have told a more accurate story. So all of these details are just missing.
And don't forget, that is the best of the Quran, which is true. Joseph account in the Bible is copied and plagiarized and destroyed, and he ruined Muhammad. That's why I said in my entry here in the beginning that in my intro is that when I read the story of Joseph in the Quran, I did not know, should I cry about the stupidity of Allah, the foolishness of Muhammad and Jibreel, and the ignorance of the Muslims? It's so sad. It is so sad that Muslims think that is the best of the Quran, because Allah said in verse 3, we narrate to use the best of the stories. When in reality, it's dumb.
I was narrating the best of the story, and I had difficulties. So
Yeah.
John Scott says they usually say something like, "We don't need to know the names. Allah told us what we need to know in the Quran." Yeah, I've seen exactly that. Yeah, Allah told us what we need to know. We know what we need to know from it.
So Allah
The book
should
of
not say clear book. Allah should say the
yeah,
unclear book, the confused book.
yeah. I mean, it's like shorthand notes for someone who already knows the story. It kind of assumes you know the original story, and it's just nuts. So Muhammad could have given the true answer to the question of why Jacob loved Joseph and Benjamin more than the rest of his other sons, but he can't do it unless they read the Bible. The answer to any information is Allah knows best. So the simple Genesis account says that no, these are the children of his beloved Rachel. So, yeah, Jacob loved Joseph because he was born when Jacob was an old man. Jacob made Joseph a beautiful tunic of many colors. His brothers became jealous and hated Joseph when they saw the beautiful tunic that Jacob had made for him. Another reason Joseph's brothers hated him was because he reported their evil behavior to his father, and Joseph brought a bad report of them to his father, and they plotted to kill him. Quran 12:9, kill Joseph or throw him to a land, and to you your father's face will be set, and after this you will become a good people. Okay. And a speaker among them said, a speaker. This was a speaker. Hey, I've got a speaker here.
The one who was sitting on the edge of the group. The one who was
speaker.
sitting in the middle. No,
Speaker.
Not
I've got a speaker right here. I have a
The
speaker.
guy talk. No, the guy talk. Not electric speaker. There were not electricity then yet.
Not that kind of speaker. You sure?
But I mean, just think about it. When you read verse 10, a speaker among them said, well, in the Bible, I can tell you who is he. Why Muhammad in the Quran said one of them said?
Because
why can't he tell me what is his name?
You see, because the Bible confuses you with details, leaves you with, and people can't. So the Quran says, I'm going to put the right amount of detail there.
Yeah, no details whatsoever. That is the right amount. I was talking to with Brother Randy. We're doing some radio broadcast apologetics about the Bible, and he is telling me about there are places in the Bible, there are people in the Bible, there is time in the Bible. And when you compare that to the Book of Mormon, in the Book of Mormon, there is also places, there is also location, there is also mountains and valleys and battles and cities. And when you try to investigate the Book of Mormon, you find no answer. These cities do not exist. The valley do not exist. The mountain do not exist. The battles never exist. There's zero archaeological evidence for the Book of Mormon. In the Bible, we got evidence, and every day we dig. Every day we dig in the earth. Archaeologists prove in the Bible more and more every time.
No, because here's the thing. It's like, when the cops plant evidence.
Yeah.
These guys are planting evidence. You see? And then what happens is they're finding the Mormon evidence, but then they're painting the rocks, or they're roughing them up, and they're scraping things off, and then they bury them in a funny way.
Yeah. But anyway, so Brother Randy was asking me, do we have this problem in the Quran? I said, no, there is no archaeological problem in the Quran. And he said, what do you mean? I said, because Muhammad never mentioned a city. Muhammad never mentioned the name of a person. Muhammad never mentioned age of some story or of some location. So how can you catch Muhammad making any erroneous material, because he has zero material? Like, listen to this. A speaker among them on the right side of the mountain, near the valley. Excuse me. What is that? Yeah.
So maybe Muslims can tell us what archaeological digs have relied on the Quran for them to be found, that where the Quran was used to guide people to a dig, or was used to identify things that have been found where people refer to the Quran and said, yep, the Quran definitively shows this is
let me give you the final short answer. They will not allow any archaeologists to go and dig in their country. They cannot handle to ask a question about the Quran. A question. You want to dig? See, Brother Lloyd, it's very simple. Muhammad taught in a strong hadith that the body of the prophets do not decay. Okay, we would love to go. We would love to go to the tomb of Muhammad in Medina and dig it out and see the body of Muhammad. If we find anything left of him, anything, I will say the Shahada and I'll become a Muslim.
How do you know it's not a bag of rocks at this tomb of Muhammad? And I think the idea of these prophets are alive underground, isn't that taken from an Old Testament story that we spoke about last week, where the prophets are sent to go to hell or something like that? And isn't it taken? I think it's a plagiarization or a corruption of that story. in the Old Testament where the prophets go down to hell or something like that. It seems to be like a repurposing of that idea.
Brother, Muhammad did not come up with anything new from his head outside of some other books or some stories has been told in his days in the Quran. Nothing.
Yeah, this is,
Nothing.
I mean, this is just repetitive, the same pattern. It repeats over and over. It's like, it's just insane. Yeah, I did warn you, Sam. I'm really exhausted. It's been a rough couple of days, so I'm really tired today. Shall
We
we
can cut it short.
do a little
Yeah.
bit more? It's been an hour 25. Let's go another few minutes, but I am really worn out today.
Whenever you need to stop, brother, we stop. We continue next Tuesday, Lord's willing. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the plot to kill Joseph. This should be interesting. So let's spend a few minutes. So Quran 12 says, "Kill Joseph or throw him to a land, and to you your father's face will be set."
No, here's a question: kill Joseph or throw him into a land? Who's speaking here?
This is the guy that writes the script. So he's going
Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
So
Okay.
here's the plan. We're gonna do this.
And when you throw him in the land, what do you mean throw him in the land? Yeah, like a bouncing ball? Boom.
So this
boom,
is like
boom.
the storyboard, and like you're gonna see a guy flying through the air, and then he lands against, and then it's like the credits come up and the music comes up, and then like.
Let me give you the interpretation now. Actually, that idiot who helped Muhammad to write the story in these verses, verse 9, knew that Joseph was not killed, but he was thrown into a well. But somehow he rewrite the story with huge stupidity, and he wrote it like that. And then this was that. And to you, your father's face will be set. Your father will be happy with you after you kill Joseph. Wow. Makes lots of sense.
Yeah. And you'll be a good people for doing so.
Exactly.
And then the
whole speaker here.
Yeah, do not kill Joseph, but cast him to the bottom of the jub. And some travelers will pick him up if you were doing. How did you know this? Okay. Ibn Kathir tells us.
That is a conversation, brother. This is a conversation in the book of Genesis, chapter 37, which we're going to read in a minute here. But somehow the writers of the Quran destroyed the Bible and made the stupid Quran. Poetry. Beautiful poetry.
It's the generous Quran, not the stupid Quran.
I'm sorry. The stupid generous Quran. Yeah.
Generously in its stupidity.
Yeah. That's exactly.
It's generous. It's very generous in that regard. Yeah, I can feel my IQ dropping as I read this.
Me too.
This is more corrosive than fluoride in the water. You know? I mean, so Mujahid said that this person was Simeon. Al-Sadi said he was Judah. Qatada and Muhammad ibn Ishaq said he was the older. Rubel, they meant Rubel. So here's the thing. It could be, now guys, I'm going to give you some choices. There's a thing, okay? It's the thing. And the person that wrote about it could either have been Einstein, Mother Teresa,
Hillary Clinton. Yep. Or Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi.
So
that's it.
Maybe it was that German guy from.
Hitler. Hitler. I remember he was a German. No.
He's not the only German guy. I'm pretty sure. Maybe it was that Australian guy, that comedian that with a big knife. So look, I mean, it's one of those. And it could have been any one of them that did this. So you can see there's a commonality because they're all people.
Yep. They all have two eyes, and they actually have two hands. One is right, one is left. I remember.
Yeah, but they're all actors. That's very important. They're all actors, and it's very important that they can act.
Sure.
So Freud. That's the German guy. You can do it too. Says it's
Sigmund Freud. Yeah. That was
Sickman Freud. It's actually Freud. His name is Sickman Freud. Yeah, so
all right. So
I mean, like, this is retarded. I mean, like, it could be this guy, could be that guy, could be the other guy. Maybe
just for them to mention these names, they must have read the Bible.
But they couldn't remember the details.
I understand.
Or some Jew was completely messing with them and giving them bad info just to make fun of them. Serves them right.
Yeah. That's why Muhammad hated the Jew. Yeah. He used to trick him all the time.
The ear.
He asked a question. Hey, listen, Muhammad asked a question. They give him the wrong answer and they wait for a few days. And then he gives the wrong answer as a story in the Quran. That was hilarious.
Yeah. How did they know the names? Because they are very confused for sure. But Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands and said, "Let us not kill him." And Reuben said to them, "Shed no blood, but cast him into this pit, which is in the wilderness, and do not lay a hand on him, that he might deliver him out of their hands and bring him back to his father."
See, that's
So
not
that's
even
what,
what Muslim scholars said. They did not know why that one of them, the speaker, said, "Don't kill him." I mean, what is the purpose? If you're gonna kill your brother or leave him in a well, dry well, for 10 years and die of starvation and thirst, what difference does it make? I'd rather to go ahead cut his throat off, so get him out of his misery, so he will not suffer for weeks until he dies.
no, no, no,
What
no, no.
the
They're
thing
throwing
is,
him into a land. They're throwing
yeah,
him
but
into a land. That's different.
throws him in
That's
like a
exile.
bouncing ball. But think about it. All that take place. Joseph never told his brothers the dreams, and he was a little boy who want to go and they want to take him with them to the field to play and have fun. And the father knew that he would be eaten by a wolf. You're talking about 3 years old, 4 years old boy. That
Yeah.
makes the Jewish that makes the Jewish fathers the most wicked, savage people you can ever see. Why they hate their brothers that much for no reason? I do not know. Give me a reason.
Okay, so in Genesis 37, it was Judah who came up with the idea to sell Joseph to the Israelites, and Reuben wanted to save his life and have him returned to his father. So these Muslim scholars once again confuse the issue, have few details, or couldn't even care, or just negligent, don't care about the details, and then you get this confusion. One of them said, and eventually they settle on one of them said. That's what the scholars, well, it could have been Hillary Clinton, maybe it was Crocodile Dundee. It
Could be.
it may have been Einstein. There's a possibility. Could have been Einstein's neighbor. It could have been, I mean, could have been Marie Curie. You never know,
Yeah,
right?
it's possible. It could be. Yeah.
So when we read Quran 12:10, we discover that the speaker is the one who asked that Joseph not be killed. Muhammad in his Quran made this person a genius prophet because all this took place before Joseph was sent to them. Well, that's
Notice that.
fascinating.
All this is written before they even met with Joseph.
Right. Let's finish this paragraph. Did the person speaking here know exactly what was going to happen? Of course he did. Allah knows best. As if the story had already been told to him. I mean, of course, they wrote the script. The guy had read the script and he knew what the script was. So did he know that this was not the true account of Genesis, where the idea of putting Joseph in a well was given by Reuben, as written in Genesis 37, for the purpose of saving Joseph so that he would not be sold to any travelers? Also, the idea of selling him to the Ishmaelites was Judah's idea, according to verses 26. So when Reuben came back to check on Joseph, he did not find Joseph in the well. He ripped his own clothes, and his heart was sorrowful, as we see in Genesis 37. And we'll end here then at the fulfilling of the plot to kill Joseph.
Color it. Put some color in it because I can't remember. I can't remember.
Righty then, there we go. We got a little bit of color.
Yep, I like colors. Yep, colors make it
Because in
more fun.
America, I am termed a person of color, and therefore I have now added some color. We are people of color, and we have added
Yeah,
color to the Quran. It is now called the
make it
colorful Quran. In fact, you know what? Hang on. Let me do the following. Yes, highlight the text. Let me go here. Oh no, come on. What am I doing? I've no idea what I'm doing sometimes. And now it is the colorful, generous Quran. Hang on, no, that's wrong. There
you
we
put
go.
the
We
ones
have some.
blue and red. How about some green, man? Some green, brother. Come on.
Like there was a bit of green there, man. That's a little bit
No,
of
that's
green.
blue. That's better. No, how about
I'm
some
only
red?
using like 80% shade. There you go. How's that? Now it's the generous, the generous, colorful Quran. Because people of color,
You
we
almost
need
said,
some color.
hey,
We need
if
some
you
more
add
color.
two
Let's
more
get it.
color, man, listen, if you add two more color, you make it the gay Quran.
There you go. It's a little pink over there. So maybe some lipstick.
Oh,
Maybe some lipstick, a little bit of eyeshadow, and then we're cooking with gas.
Oh my word! No. I don't believe in cooking with gas. No, I want American. I want the world to read the Quran. We want to destroy the Quran not by burning it because you cannot burn the Quran. First of all, that's a copy in English. So the best way you do it to destroy the greatest insult to Islam is to read the Quran. I'm not kidding you. You read the Quran, you destroyed Islam.
I'm
You burn
sorry,
the
man.
Quran.
I'm reading the Quran with you, and I am finding it very hard to take this book seriously. I am
I'm doing my
struggling. I don't
best,
know if you can tell.
brother. I'm doing my best to help you here. Okay,
You're not
this is
helping.
it.
I can tell you, Usama, you're not helping. Um, this is
Mashallah. You know, I have not read that chapter for a long time. That's why I can't remember it. But now you remind me of my own writings. That's awesome, man. We should read the book more often. Okay.
no. Seriously,
No,
I'm planning.
that-
So, guys, I won't be here next week. I'll be dead. I will be faking my own death, and I'm moving to Mexico under an assumed name. I'll be because I can't do this anymore.
Listen, I will find you if you come to Mexico. I know lots of friends in Mexico. I will find you, so you cannot
Oh,
hide.
that's very bad. I'll have to move not to Mexico then.
I have friends everywhere in America and around the world.
Oh, that's bad. Okay,
Uh,
guys. So,
talk
yep.
to you later, brother Lloyd, brother. Appreciate you and all the wonderful audience we have. Sorry we did not go a little bit deeper tonight because we're both tired. With next Tuesday, we're gonna get a big chunk out of Joseph, inshallah, inshallah.
So, guys, yeah, if Osama can find me, we will do this.
If not, then it's over. The study is over. You can do it on your own. Okay.
And keep a therapist on standby because, man, you're going to need it.
You need one or two.
So, guys,
And
that's the story of Joseph.
listen, that is the best of the Quran, man. That is the best of the Quran. I don't know if you have a problem with that. What you're gonna do with the rest of my 2 volume books? You're gonna be in a nightmare.
Yeah,
Anyway.
this is honestly, it is painful to read this. The lack of detail, the incoherence, the assumptions, the disjointed writing.
Colors. I mean, it's a chaos. It's a chaos.
The lack of narrative, yeah, the chaotic structure. It's frustrating to read like this. It's man, it bothers me. It's like this is
the best thing, Lloyd, the best thing you have done so far to my book right now is you color it.
All those pretty
That's it.
colors. Yeah, no, I
Oh, yeah.
do my best.
It's gonna be the gay Quran. The gay Quran. We're missing two more colors, I believe.
I mean, look. The LGBT Queers for Palestine, they'd approve. They'd approve, and that's why they're going to move to Palestine any day now to go and hang out with the Palestinians.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Appreciate you, brother.
I mean,
and we'll meet again next Tuesday. And maybe next week we'll do 2 programs. One about Joseph, another one about
John Calvin.
John Calvin. That'll be awesome. Yeah.
Yep. So,
all
guys,
right. Peace and blessing.
Yeah, thanks all, guys. Yeah, so have a cup of tea and scream into your pillow, that kind of thing. And we shall see you guys soon. Have a wonderful night. God bless everyone.